大家好，我是 Olive Branch 的 Alan. So intermittent fasting or time-restricted feeding is basically not eating for 12 or more hours per day. Now, some of the people or your parents or grandparents might have told you that fasting is not going to be good for your stomach. You're going to have stomach pains and that you should definitely not do it. Let's take a closer look at what the science says, and then perhaps later you can decide whether this would be informational for your parents or grandparents to listen to. Did you know that up to 1/3 of the world population, religious populations, actually fast regularly? That's 1/3 of everybody living on this planet. Fasting, or just simply not eating for long periods of time, has actually been a part of human history since we were a species. This has been something our bodies have been very well adapted to. If humans would not be able to handle an environment with no food, our species would not have evolved for very long, let alone to be on the top of the food chain. So in fact, humans have evolved to a point where we can be functioning very well with zero food for long periods of time. So there's actually no concrete proof or evidence or studies that actually support fasting causes any stomach pains. All of it is anecdotal, which means that they're just basically people's experience and they'll share their stories, but there's no actual scientific studies. But a lot of our older generations who have probably come from famine or hardship, they'll keep telling their younger generations to eat because that's probably what they were lacking when they were growing up. However, stomach problems like ulcers, where the stomach acid starts to burn into the stomach tissue, causing pain, ulcers are actually caused by a completely different factor, such as bacteria, H. pylori to be specific, or by taking too much aspirin or Advil, because they actually eat away at the lining of your stomach, causing the acid to actually reach the tissue. So these are actually other factors or stress that can actually cause stomach pains like ulcer. But other reasons like fasting, there is actually no proof whatsoever to actually support that claim. However, there are side effects with fasting for certain people, and this is quite limited in the number of people who have reported these side effects, such as dizziness or nausea, headaches, and often that can actually be alleviated by just simply intaking salt, as the body is losing electrolytes, or low blood sugar. And a lot of people might mention this, but that actually is an extremely rare case because your body actually has a backup system called gluconeogenesis, which can create its own sugar from fat and protein. So you don't really need to worry about that unless it's an extreme situation, a very unique case where they might feel extreme dizziness or extreme fatigue and headache. Then they probably should break the fast and go check out a doctor to see there's nothing else wrong. Now, having said all that, there are still some populations that should not fast, and they are people who are underweight or malnutritioned, people with a history of eating disorders like anorexia or bulimia. Children or adolescents should also not eat because they are actually in a period of growth. Pregnant women or women who are breastfeeding because they are also taking care of a being that's also in a period of growth. Women who are trying to get pregnant, and people who have a tendency of binge eating, as that can actually offset or can kickstart them to binge eat. Also, people who might need guidance when they're doing intermittent fasting are people with type 2 diabetes or people who are on specific medications, as well as people with serious conditions. They should definitely seek guidance before doing a fast. So finally, guys, I definitely recommend that fasting should be part of a healthy eating program. Just be cautious in case that you have any of the aforementioned conditions or you're unsure. Seek out a professional who can help you guide you through this. Lastly, I am not a doctor, so please understand that this is not medical advice. This is purely for informational purposes only. But I hope you found that useful. And like always, please leave any questions or comments below, and I'll see you next time.